Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Cebu. Welcome to SunStar Cebu's Beyond the Ballot Interview Series 2025. I'm Mildred Galarpe.
And I'm DJ Moises.
As we approach the 2025 midterm elections, this program offers voters an in-depth look at the candidates vying for the congressional seat in Mandaue City through a series of one-on-one interviews.
Each episode will feature an interview. The first 30 minutes, we will get to know the candidates, their advocacies, their plans, their visions. The remaining time, they will answer the 5 core questions in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
To give you a better understanding of how these will unfold, let's take a look at the mechanics.
Hello, viewers. Welcome to SunStar Cebu's Beyond the Ballot series. This program is divided into 2 segments, the candidate's profile and the 5 core questions. Here are the mechanics. For candidate profile, each candidate will be interviewed for 30 minutes, during which they will discuss their past work, advocacies, and reasons for running. For 5 core questions, each candidate will have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to answer 5 key questions. This time limit ensures equal opportunity for all candidates while keeping responses concise and focused. Now, let's head back to the studio.
Of the 2 congressional candidates in Mandaue City, only one has accepted our invitation. Here with us today is Attorney Regal Oliva. Good afternoon, Attorney.
Good afternoon, and
Good
good afternoon to all the
Attorney.
viewers of your amiable and very well-followed program in SunStar.
Okay, thank you. Attorney, nami question ni mo. So people will know. So, who is Attorney Regal Oliva?
Agoy, niya sa, na siya ko nga question.
Wala mga candidate number 1?
Kaya of all the political questions ba, who is,
Who?
I don't know her.
Oh.
Ito, joke. Okay, Regal Oliva for me. Okay, who is Regal Oliva? Regal Oliva is a former treasurer of Mandaue City. She is a lawyer. I go with the pronoun of she and her. I grew up in a very dynamic family. My father was a banker, and my mom is also a city treasurer of a different local government unit. And my sister also works in a bank. So actually, our family is more into finances and taking care into finances. But Regal Oliva is also more into the arts. Siguro, if my passion really is there, it's just that for me, destiny could have led me to where I am now, but really my passion is into the arts, painting, theater, anything that is of art.
Okay.
You've been a city treasurer for Mandaue City for 11 years.
16.
16.
11 years as I was appointed city treasurer, but I was also acting city treasurer before that. So 16 years kung nagtrabaho isip city treasurer sa Mandaue.
So what moved you this time to consider serving Mandaue City at a different capacity?
Oh, nangita kog mas dakong problema. Siguro nahuman naman gid nato ang Mandaue City ba. Nahimo naman gid nato pinakaadunahan nga syudad gawas sa Metro Manila. Siguro we can improve Mandaue for the better, and maybe I can take on into better responsibilities, bigger obligations for the city, and also I'm free from family obligations na. Okay na ko. No, so I can serve my constituents in Mandaue City well through legislative actions, and as a lawyer, abogado man gyud ta, passionate pug ko when it comes to laws, and there are things that you see nga nay mga loopholes ang balaod nga gusto jud nimong amendahan, especially when you're an advocate of something.
Kani Attorney, 16 years is 16 years. 16 na gina siya. Di na siya di na nimo ma-shave. In that 16 years, what milestones nga imong magamit if elected as representative of the Lone District of Mandaue?
Basically, no, kanimo kong city treasurer is a very diverse position in government. Why? Because finances magug ka. You actually funnel appropriations and fund requirements for all government offices. So di ka lang yun, you cannot put yourself in a box by only raising the revenues of Mandaue City. You also have to put your shoes and your expertise into the different departments of the city. Kay kung di na nimo hunahunahon, di ka makabalo kung wisely nga tagaan ba nimo pondo ang City Veterinarian's Office? Tagaan ba nimo og pondo ang General Services Office? So basically, mura ka roundabout ana niya. So you study also the functions of each office in the locality as a city treasurer. So mas diverse o well-versed po ko sa different offices.
So actually, dako kay siya nga role kay kanang namugod siya ka sa local governments.
Correct.
You don't need to run for mayor or councilor to run for kanang Congress. Kay ang imong experience as city treasurer, tinuod na mura kag ikaw ang mama ba? Nga kaning akong kindergarten tagaan ba nakog same nga allowance sa akong college. So kana siya nga inana nga kanang discipline, dako kay siya og tabang when you go to Congress kay kabaw man ka nga sus kaning funds nga inani kanang kinahanglan ni improve kay labaw ning nagkinahanglan your familiarity to local governance is really an edge when you go to Congress.
And not only that, as we say, Manggod, kaning magong local government is a microcosm of the whole, no? Sa national government. Importante pud kaayo nga mahibaw gyud ta on how to appropriate funds for national agencies. Nahibaw ta in 2025 na ay mga giziruhan nga budget nga napoy mga agencies nga importante pud kaayo unta. I'm talking about malasakit centers. I'm talking about PhilHealth insurance, state insurance, no? Walay budget for 2025, and this could have helped so many people. So in fairness, akong pagka-treasurer, I would also be able to study the different departments of the national government and maybe push for reforms in Congress, because actually the power of purse is in Congress. Wala dili sa executive
it's true.
branch.
Given your experience now, which we highlighted earlier, what are certain gaps, which I think a portion of it you've already shared, which you think are happening, and then you can fill should you be given the chance to have a congressional seat?
Gaps, by gaps you mean
Legislative gaps, or
Policy.
even the needs.
this is for the city of Mandaue or
Yes.
for the national government?
Can be both.
Okay, for the city of Mandaue, basically, one of the biggest things that we need is infrastructure on transportation, especially for traffic mitigation. And also, what we can address this on is housing and urban planning. Why? Because when you have a city like Mandaue, wherein ang iyahang land area is very small, pero ang population is highly dense, no?
Correct.
Ang traffic gyud mo expect gyud ka og taas-taas. Why? Because also during daytime the population of Mandaue City doubles. No? Because most of the industries are in Mandaue City. So imagine na ang nagpuyo pa din plus pagyud sa mga pagyud kay manrabaho, grabe gyud ang traffic. So we must address both. Why am I talking about addressing housing and traffic management? If we can have housing built in communities nearer their areas, nearer their place of work, nearer their place of study, then we can actually prevent traffic. I'm talking about building more condominium, because we have already launched 2 buildings in Mandaue City, housing buildings. We call it the Tipolo residences. And we have proven that this is very worthy. Kay ang mga tao na muyo din nanrabaho ra pos dool. So they don't really have to take in transportation, and the schools of the children are also very near. So walking distance na tanan. So if we can have churches built near
Community.
housing villages and housing communities, then actually we can have a better traffic system. Kay mamo po nagibuhat sa other countries,
Yeah,
no?
in the US, di ba? Kanang different
Community,
states. They build una communities before they allow people
to live. So this is like community living system. So we must do that in Mandaue City, or else we will be suffering the traffic congestion in a
cycle.
very, very long time. And basically, if we just address the two, then we are also addressing education. We're also addressing other social services, because we're talking about hospitals to be there. Health services should also be available for everyone. Schools should be built in that area, not only for elementary and high school, but also for tertiary students. We also encourage more investments in the area, because we can provide labor for the establishments that will be investing in that area. So actually, it will be a modern vision. And I'm very happy that Jonas Cortez and I share the same vision for Mandaue City. And so if the mayor and the congressman can work harmoniously together, then we can expect a very vibrant, progressive city in Mandaue.
Align ba, no? Kay kung sometimes og dili align ang Congress ug mayor, maghihim sa project usay magduplicate, so waste ang resources.
And that is what is happening now, di ba? Kaya ang DPWH is not even coordinating with Mandaue City's local government. They put in a project without coordinating, and mao na kung magbaha, we kinda like they blame each other, and that's a very bad cycle. If we keep on blaming the national government blames the local government, this will not be a healthy environment to live in.
Kini siya, attorney, this problem is not just for Mandaue
Not
City,
at all.
but it happens to all LGUs. Ang national government, yes, we're very thankful they're putting projects in our
Exactly.
local government unit, but murabag walay coordination with the LGU. Same as nahitabo in, I remember when we had an interview with Mayor Alegado nga nahibong na lang siya pagkaugma naman nagbungkal sa dan. And then when people complain, they do not complain to the DPWH, they complain to the mayor,
local government,
to the
yes.
local government. So if given a seat in Congress, how will you address this alignment problem?
Yeah, that is why we need to institutionalize these kind of things. First, we institutionalize the infrastructure development of national government with the local government. I'm saying that the local government be given more autonomy. No? Mas dako sila autonomy power when it comes to the implementation of infrastructure. Number two, local government should also be given more autonomy on health services. Dili na kailangan ang mga pobre maglinya pas opisina's congressman para mga guarantee letter. We have to stop this practice of debt of gratitude to this bati manggod na ang system, because it will promote graft and corruption at a very early age for our communities. That will be a very bad thing. If we continue this, then wala kapadulungan ang Pilipinas kung pilmin na padrino system.
Yeah, kanasad ba nganong ipa-feel man ka nga indebted ka sa person nga imo di man na iyahang personal nga kwarta.
I agree.
That's from the
Kwarta man na
taxes,
sa government. You know, we've been receiving a lot of complaints. Like for example, there was one cancer patient, naglinya siya to sa iyang congressman for almost one day. Only paghapit na sila maabot, gingnan sila kanang hapon-hapon nagingnan sila nga di pa moabot ang congressman karon, ugma pa na masakito na gani ang tao. And then inana ba, why do we have to beg? I hope you can do something about that when you know you'll be one of the congressmen in Congress. And
Ako, I understand congressmen, because these are also politicians, but you know, we really have to stop this one. This practice is promoting too much corruption in our country. No, gamay ra man ni siya, pero magin-ani manggod abi ninyo walay corruption din. It's graft actually. Kanang inyong utangon og buot ang usa ka tawo just for political gains, which is really for me evil. in a sense.
The good thing about this one is because you're running with your fresh perspective, no? At the same time, we also have people who are quite worried also about motivations of certain politicians, no? So in your case, how do you intend to really bring real change, no? If given this opportunity?
I don't think that I can actually work overnight for change because lisod man na, no?
It's a system.
Correct. You have to do. Can you imagine a system that has been built for hundreds of years and then you kind of like put in something that can actually kind of ma-feel ba sa mga tao ba? But you can only make people feel if we're talking about in a national scale. Di man na pwede nga imo ring pa-feel si Mandaue City. But as a congressman, while you represent the city, you will also pass laws that will affect all the people, all Filipino people nationwide. And one of the things that we really need to look into and sever ties with some institutions is the SOGI bill. Because while this is very controversial every time, but we've been fighting for SOGI for 2 decades already, 20 anyos na ni siya nga sige na kuan ani, but we have to understand that there are people, there are sectors who belong to the minority group, but then there are still people, there are still Filipinos who need to be protected, who does not need discrimination anymore, and who must feel accepted and included in our communities and society.
Okay. DJ, si Atty. Oliva was the first transgender woman elected president sa Cebu Lady Lawyers Association SELA. So kuan ni siya kanang milestone ni siya sa SELA, milestone po ni sa mga kababayan. Women empowerment.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, attorney, you have diverse interests. You as you mentioned earlier, you're really into passion sa arts and theater. Kani siya nga part mo, sometimes mingo tag arts mo para naman sa mga dato. But how will you, but daghan mo gyud kay mga kanang talent ang atong not just Mandaue but the Filipinos, daghan kitag creative kay ta. Unsa kay mga imong legislative agenda ng kaning arts mo trickle down not to gyud sa dili siya exclusive but kita inclusive to everybody?
Sa una man gud ang DepEd is very diverse kay DEX gyud na siya, di ba?
DEX.
Department of Education and Culture,
and Sports.
Sports. So ang culture gid na lagi part of the arts, and I think DepEd, because the term education should also encapsulate everything na. And one of these things, and one I'm worried and very worried about in this 2025 budget, is that mas dako ang budget sa DPWH compared to education. And education, constitutionally, it states that the biggest bulk of the appropriations in the budget of every year must go to education rather than other departments. And that is why, kung may gitag arts gyud, it should be developed early age. Di man na pwede nga kanang mukalit lang kag-develop din.
Mag-arts ko ron.
Oh, correct. Di ba there are things nga mutanaw lang ka social media and saka sayon na ani mo, no? Buhata ko nun ninyo din ha, no? Lisod yun na siya.
Sayon na kay ana-ana tanaw ka di pa kay bawang usa kay to kasi man gitrabaho.
Exactly. Kanang mga abstract art, mingon ka sus, kaya mo na nako. And then once you get into the canvas and try to do that even just side by side and do the abstract, you can't do it because it's really art. It really comes from passion. And when it comes to painting, other arts, theater, for singers and songs and playing of instruments, these are talent, and talent are God-given gifts. What nigi ingon di gina skills, no?
Wa siya gi-appoint.
Correct. Di mo guna skills, lain mo na skills mo. Ato kag TESDA, magkaton kag welding, pwede. Magkaton kag panahi, pwede na siya. Pero unsaon mo pag-design sa dress, how it will come out, and that needs an artistic perspective. And that is why it's important that we hone the Filipino art. Okay? Lisod kaayo nga, mingon magud-tagod nga, dinato ra ni siya because it is the rich people who are supporting it.
Yes.
Because the poor people, no, maluoy lang gid ta, I'm sure they love how it looks like, but they cannot afford it.
Kay
Not part of the priorities.
Yeah, kay
Yes.
anaon man ka kung if you have that grade school pa ka na nakay passion for dressmaking or anything. Ano man ka nga, di ta mabuhi ana. Hala,
Exactly.
pag kuan dito, pag BPO or anything, kanang, I think it sa time na siya were in our parents, dili pa kay kasabot unsa na siya.
Yes, and I would like to go beyond that,
Yes.
no, go beyond that perception. Okay, in Western countries, if you're an artist, you are well paid. No, you can actually put in a very decent lifestyle. So we must change the perspective nga kung artist ka, kailangan manatili ka or di argid ka kuto, pobre argid ka. That's a very sad. It's a sad reality, but I think we can pass a law supporting the people in the arts, no, and then pass more. Give them more financial incentives, maybe tax breaks also for the people who are working in the entertainment and art industry.
You've mentioned also about the importance of education.
Oh yes.
And I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about recent findings by the World Bank na kaning mga 10-year-olds na to are actually struggling with reading and comprehension for texts that are even appropriate for their age. How can we do something about that also in Congress? Are there any legislative measures that we can also pass to augment that?
Namagod tayo learning gap. Especially this happened during the pandemic.
Yes.
For 2 years, the learning gap of children has mura siya ni slow ang development. So can you imagine 2 years? If you're a 10-year-old, you will be thinking like an 8-year-old. Mao na siya ang ato ang study, and we have to kailangan gyud siyang aksyonan dayon by the Department of Education. But the thing was, for the 2 years nga wa gyud ng eskwela ang mga bata, I cannot call them lazy, but naanad sila sa walay klase. And if we augment more hours to put in for magkuan na sila, mag-stress na po sila. And
mental health.
And nowadays,
really
mental
real.
health is a big issue, and it's a big word. It's a big word, big issue na siya. Pero maulang po ang akong kuan na we have to pass laws on not only for DepEd to make programs, but pass laws to institutionalize and fund more mathematics class.
Catch up ba ka ng,
Catch up.
I think catch up programs.
Correct. More reading class. I would respect DepEd's program. Maayo ba ya gud kaayo, but I have to also accept the reality that not only the students are behind, the teachers are
Sadly.
also behind. Sad, no?
Yeah.
Because while we have access to so many information through the internet, we're not using it properly. We're more on kanang chismis rather than really on research. And the Department of Education must value research and development among teachers. And maybe we have to pass laws that can incentivize teachers who do research and development. Importante magug kayo nga once a teacher hones herself or himself into research and development, she or he can actually pass it on to his students on the interest of research. So kung mag-ingana na lang yun ang ato ang cycle, nga nindot na kay mo research ang bata, then that child would know how to study, and then in the future how to develop so many things, and we can have a robust science and technology society that I'm really looking forward to.
Ang pandemic manggod ang na-bright diling estudyante ang mama. Kay mo may tig-answer sa kuan modules
Katawanan lagi ka. I went to the Tower of Pisa ba in Italy, and then naghiwi naman siya, maingon din sila nako maoning resulta sa mga engineering students nga nag-online classes.
wala na ka-internship. Wala karon.
Kay lisod na jud kayo ba ang kuan karon. We're not talking about children. We're even talking about
The
college
industry,
students,
Agreed.
the whole. So kailangan gud siya i-mitigate dayon immediately, or we cannot take it slowly. And ang kaning na may mga program gyud ang DepEd that I respect, but even the teachers are naglisod po sila cope up.
They can only give what they have. No?
Yes, and I hope that we can train more teachers, develop the teachers.
Kanang training, sakto na, i-incentivize nimo nga, dili sad siya, iunahan na to siya train by hierarchy, kay mas una siya nimo. It should be, kay mura ba sad na kanang challenge within the kanang organization sa, nagya po'y politics ba? So, hopefully everybody para inclusive, good. It's inclusive to everybody. Okay, so ano to sa gamayng lighter side sa gamay ka? Serious
Intense
sa attorney. Intense kayo. Pero ganahan ko. Intense kayo. But we want to know more, Attorney Regal Oliva. Sige, Attorney. What do you do when you distress? Do you have most politicians are really singers. I don't know with you, but what is your go-to karaoke song?
Karaoke song?
Yes. Do you have that? I know somebody dili
I
lang
Will
song.
Survive.
Oh.
Yes, I Will Survive. I love that song. First, I was afraid.
See, sample na
I
yun.
was petrified.
Magaling kay excerpt sa to katungod sa playlist yun.
I think I know who you're talking about.
So you're obviously gifted, no? And at the same time, you're
Thank you.
also well-rounded as a public servant. But aside from the two, no, if you're not into public service or politics, what would you be doing right now?
I will be a housewife. And that is for me the noblest profession of all.
Of course. You work more than 8 hours.
Yes, exactly. And when you really devote your time for the family, you clean the house. I love house chores. I just love it, good. I like cleaning the house. I like washing the dishes. That is something that I get. If you say distressing,
Stress, yes.
I distress it too there. Especially gardening. I just love it. That's why if given the chance to just be paid to be a housewife, I will be
You will do it full time.
I will be the most beautiful housewife in the world.
Kanindot.
If you can live comfortably, being just in the house, also I will do that the rest of my life.
Nya, mag TikTok na lang siya og how to make sure nga mo bloom imong mga
Diba?
tanong.
Martha Stewart live.
Diba?
My goodness, I just have the pack. You can just paint, and then after that you can do garden and
The things you really want to do.
exactly.
Right?
But I don't have time.
So with all this, right, like you're campaigning right now. How do you balance things? You have a daughter? Or
I have a daughter. She's 18, and that's why she doesn't want to see me anymore. 18-year-olds,
Strong, independent.
Yeah, adolescent children.
Yes.
I understand. When I was 18, I don't like to see my parents. That's why I will just see you once a week, or if you want to see me. But the busy schedule in campaigning, this is something very new to me because I've never been a politician in my life, and not in our family was a politician. No, so lisod kayo siya. Builds DJ. It's difficult. It's exhaustive. And I have high respects to politicians. You cannot just discount the fact that the effort built to campaign and to get votes is a very difficult task. And na siya, grabe.
I'm also curious, what's your daughter's role, or stand now that you're also running?
Oh my goodness.
And your family as well, no?
My family is the most supportive. My mom is grabe. I think some of you might have known my mom. This is very funny. She's the one who really convinced me to run for Congress. And when I asked her, ngano padaganon man jud ko nimo, insa mangita tag problema.
It's true. She's retired. She's retired already, but despite saying retirement, she still go out and even help Cebu City collect uncollected taxes.
Yeah. Ana.
Mangita
Mangita
siguro
siya
kaliwat.
problema.
Inyong kaliwat ang mangitag labad sa ulo. Mura silang magluya o walay labad sa ulo.
And di na labad sa among ulo.
Oh, yes.
Di na labad. It's our passion, good. We end the day talking and laughing about the whole day, and it's just so de-stressing, ha? Kung makakita, if you can solve a problem, nindot kay nag-feeling sa
Yes,
amo ang
it's true.
pamilya. And yes, because I'm my child's mom, no, and I have to give it to her for raising us this way. Nga, kanang we were very strong, we were very independent as children, and that's why I'm trying to raise my child that way. But if you say what's the reaction of my daughter when I entered politics, she is very happy for me, but she doesn't like the limelight.
Okay.
Totally opposite with Regal Oliva. She abhors it. She doesn't like that, her classmates know me. She doesn't like that, she sees me everywhere because of the tarpaulin. She gets to be, oh, what's this? I don't like this life. She's a very private person. But if you get to know her, she's the most happy daughter that you can ever have. Yeah.
With that, we can now proceed to the second part of our interview.
The 5 core questions when we come back.
We're back for the second half of our interview series. In this part, we will be asking our guests with the 5 core questions reflecting the concerns and issues of Mandaue City. To start, Mandaue's rapid urbanization has led to traffic congestion, informal settlements, and poor drainage systems. If elected as representative of the Lone District of Mandaue, what legislative piece will you initiate to address urban planning and infrastructure development?
One of the first legislative piece that I have to address is on the urban settlement of Mandaue City, because Mandaue City, as it is, the area is very small, but the population is very dense. And so we have to put in a law that can institutionalize community living institutions or system, wherein we can put housing, communities, and job opportunities for them, a church, and schools or educational institutions that will be aligned in one community living condition. So, importante kayo nga natay land banking laws that can protect LGUs as well as the national government to purchase more lands and hasten expropriations on private lots so that we can actually develop more communities and improve the quality of lives of our constituents.
Now we move to the second core issue. This one has to do with frequent flooding due to poor drainage and climate change that threatens residents and businesses. What legislative measure will you propose to improve flood control and environmental protection?
It is very important that there is a law. We have laws already that are existing, but it is important to have stricter penalties when it comes to urban development who are not following the building code. Flooding in our cities have been caused mainly because of so many establishments and residents who have been violating the building code of the Philippines. Why? Because they're building towards the river or towards the canals, and they're already blocking the area. And thus, there are also developments who have been putting in subdivisions in watershed areas. There are institutions who are developing the areas and then putting in or leading the flood elsewhere instead of a certain pattern in the past. So these laws are already in place, but stricter penalties should be there, because sometimes establishments or individuals might say, bayaran na lang ko ni. Anyway, I might have had violations, but maybe we can just pay for it and then it's okay afterwards. So lisod, mas may tag-as pag penalty, and then maybe we can also have the government have the power to demolish any of those construction that has been hindering our waterways especially. And then we can also institutionalize other drainage projects. And when I say institutionalize, we can fund them or funnel funds for bigger drainage, bigger waterways, and dredging programs for local government as well as national government. It is also very important that the national government be coordinative with the local government, especially in their different projects. Because as of today, the problem with local government is that the national government, DPWH, is not coordinating properly with them.
Mandaue is an industrial hub, but many local businesses struggle with taxes, regulatory bottlenecks, and the lack of skilled manpower. If given the chance to be representing the Lone District of Mandaue, what legislative piece will you push to ensure economic development and job creation?
First and foremost, the streamlining of the application of business permits or mayor's permits in the local government unit is very important. And we must have laws for this one, not just circulars of the DILG, DOF, and DBM. Laws that will institutionalize red taping and streamline all processes. We might have to do away with some of the regulatory requirements required of some business establishments para lang makakuha silang permit. As of today, even if the local governments would say nga tulo na lang kabuk ilang requirements, but then other requirements are hidden. In other words, what I'm saying is that yes, ang local government musultig tulura ang mga requirements 3 steps, but then prior to the 3 steps, nananay mga other requirements nga 17 day kabuo. So we need to have laws to tell us unsa man gyud ay ang requirements niini, and then penalize any employee or public officer who are doing fixing activities or corrupt practices. We can have more stringent penalties and harsher penalties for these erring officials.
The city's growing population has led to worsening traffic, inefficient public transportation, and a lack of pedestrian-friendly spaces. What legislative actions would you initiate to enhance public transportation and traffic management?
Actually, nanamang gid na legislative measures, no? We have laws already, but the implementation is very slow. And why? Because we have very lenient policies when it comes to these. Like our city engineer's office should also be pressured to have wider sidewalks. And then we must have more bike lanes for our people. Mandaue City has been awarded as a silver medalist when it comes to bike lanes or bike-friendly communities. And I'm very happy that if we can just continue this, if we can institutionalize or build laws for local government units to have bigger sidewalks, more bike lanes, then we could promote healthier communities. Why? Because people will be encouraged to walk and to bike rather than just ride with their vehicles or do public transportation. Just like other countries, even if the weather is warm, if we have beautiful sidewalks lined up with shady trees, safe biking lanes, then we can actually just promote healthier living conditions in our country.
The problem on informal settlers living in high-risk areas, they're either within the 3-meter easement. They're usually the ones who gets affected with flooding. And this is a reality that affordable housing remains a challenge. If there is no legislative piece, what legislative piece or what existing legislative piece will you go over to ensure that housing and informal settlements will be addressed?
We have to ensure the funding of the National Housing Authority and the urban development planning of the city. We have to also ensure that there is proper autonomy for local governments to do land banking activities. What I'm saying is that we should make it easier for local government units to purchase lands so that they can build communities for housing in that area. As of now, taas kayo ang proseso para mupalit o sa kayuta ang local government. Make it easier for them. Maybe we can amend the local government code, give them more autonomy to purchase lands, and decide to transfer this our informal settlers. But we have to also look into the brighter picture that informal settlers can also be used as human resource. In other words, if we just put them in the urban communities, then build condominium units for these people as housing alternatives. Dili pwede nga horizontal lang atong development for housing. We look into vertical developments like we already did this in Mandaue City. We have 2 residential buildings, 8 floors each, and we have the residents are now very happy. They are now we also encourage to put cooperatives for their groceries, grocery needs. So naghimo na sila isa ka community in that area, and we also encourage children not to only just venture into others sports lang like basketball, nibutang pagita og soccer field so that they can also learn other sports activities in the area. So dako ang atong development if we can have local governments purchase more lands. Land banking ang tawag na to build more housing. Then the National Housing Authority and the local government can pour in funds to build more homes, provide more houses for our people.
So I think that ends the 5 core questions.
Okay.
And now we'll ask Attorney Regal Oliva, the residents of Mandaue City is watching, your message to them.
My dear Mandaue Hanons, I am presenting to you myself as your next congressman who will present or who will represent you in the House of Congress. I believe that I will be very capable in defending and who will be your voice in the House of Congress in the next session. I believe that there is so much to attend to when it comes to the local level of Mandaue City. But there is also much to attend to when it comes to the national level. It might be the time that a Mandaue Hanon will be there to represent not only the Mandaue Hanons but also the Filipino people. So I am Regal Mendoza Oliva. I will be your next congressman.
Thank you, Attorney Regal Oliva, for joining us today.
Thank you also to all our viewers for watching. Stay tuned for more interviews.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
I'm DJ Moises.
And I'm Mildred Galarpe.
Thank you.
And good
afternoon.